Hello everyone, I hope you're all having a great week. My name is Drew, the host of Never Behind. I'm pretty sure that if you're a Tesla shareholder or interested in buying Tesla shares in the future, you wouldn't want to miss what Elon says about the company. So last week, Elon had a great interview with the New York Times that lasted for more than an hour and a half, but was very insightful not only on his thoughts on Tesla, but also on AI in general and on OpenAI, the company he co-founded with Sam Altman, and shared what he thought may have happened when Sam Altman got fired from OpenAI. Now, after going through the whole interview, I edited the part of the interview where Elon talks about Tesla and its future so that you wouldn't have to go through the whole interview for those wanting to hear Elon's thoughts and insights just on Tesla. Also, since the interview kept going back and forth, I edited the AI portion of the interview, thinking it would be much more easier for the viewers to follow on what they were trying to deliver during the talk. So again, I hope this summary video is helpful for your personal investments on both Tesla and also on the companies in the AI space. So with that, let's see what Elon had to say about the status of Tesla at this point, and also where he sees the major competition for Tesla and how far ahead Tesla is in the self-driving sector, and finally how safe he thinks autonomous vehicles are compared to when humans are driving. Now, before we get into the interview, I just wanted to share that Seeking Alpha is still having a great promotion, providing the premium service that was $239 a year all the way down to $167, and I've also shared an interview with the founder of Seeking Alpha Quant System showing how he uses the Seeking Alpha platform to find the best 10 stocks in specific industries. So if you're interested in Seeking Alpha, please make sure you check the video on how to use the platform to find great companies to invest in, and also use the link in the description below in order to get the great discount.
And you can also look at Tesla as being sort of many companies in one. Like our supercharging network, if the Tesla supercharging network were its own company, it would be a Fortune 500 company by itself. Just the supercharging system. We also make the cells, we build the power electronics and the powertrain from scratch. We have the most innovative structural design, the largest castings ever used. We have the best manufacturing technology at Tesla, better manufacturing technology than companies that have been doing it for 100 years.
But you typically don't like regulation. You've pushed back on regulators for the most part in the world of Tesla, in so many instances where we read articles about you pushing back on the regulators. I'm so curious why, in this instance, now you own one of these businesses. This is
not an exaggeration to say there are probably 100 million regulations that my companies comply with. And there are probably 5 that we don't. And if we disagree with some of those regulations, it's because we think the regulation that is meant to do good doesn't actually do good. Automotive is heavily regulated. We would not be allowed to put cars on the road if we did not comply with this vast body of regulation. The regulations that you have to comply with to make a car, you could have a room full of phone books. That's how big the regulations are. And if you don't comply with all of those, you can't sell the car. And if we don't comply with all the regulations for rockets or for Starlink, they shut us down. So in fact, I am incredibly compliant with regulations. Now, once in a while, there'll be something that I disagree with. The reason I would disagree with it is because I think the regulation in that particular case, in that rare case, does not serve the public good, and therefore I think it is my obligation to object to a regulation that is meant to serve the public good but doesn't. That's the only time I object. Not because I seek to object. In fact, I'm incredibly rule-following.
You've been very frustrated with the Biden administration over, I think, unions and feeling like they did not respect what you've created.
I mean, without any doing nothing to provoke the Biden administration, they held an electric vehicle summit at the White House and specifically refused to let Tesla attend. This was in the first 6 months of the administration. And we inquired, we literally make more electric cars than everyone else combined. Why are we not allowed? Why are you only letting Ford, GM, Chrysler, and UAW, and you're specifically disallowing us from the EV summit at the White House? We'd done nothing to provoke them. Then Biden went on to add insult to injury and publicly said that GM was leading the electric car revolution. This was in the same quarter that Tesla made 300,000 electric cars and GM made 26. Does that seem fair to you?
It doesn't seem fair. I can see it in your face. This hurt you personally.
And it hurt the company too. And it was an insult to Tesla has 140,000 employees. Okay, of the half of them are in the United States. Tesla has created more manufacturing jobs than everyone else combined. The Tesla Model Y will be the best-selling car of any kind on Earth this year, of any kind, gasoline or otherwise.
Is there another car company that you think is doing a good job with EVs?
I mean, I think the Chinese car companies are extremely competitive. By far, our toughest competition is in China. So, I mean, there's a lot of people out there who think like the top 10 car companies are going to be Tesla, followed by 9 Chinese car companies. I think they might not be wrong. So China is super good at manufacturing, and the work ethic is incredible. Like if we consider different leagues of competitiveness at Tesla, we consider the Chinese league to be the most competitive.
How worried are you that the unionization effort that just took place, I shouldn't say effort, but the new wages and the like at GM and Ford, that they're coming for you, and they are coming for you? What is that going to mean to you and your business?
Well, I think it's generally not good to have an adversarial relationship between people on the line, one group at the company and another group. In fact, I disagree with the idea of unions, perhaps for a reason that is different than people may expect, which is I just don't like anything which creates kind of a lords and peasants sort of thing. And I think the unions naturally try to create negativity in a company and create a sort of lords and peasants situation. There are many people at Tesla who have gone from working on the line to being in senior management. There is no lords and peasants. Everyone eats at the same table. Everyone parks in the same parking lot. At GM, there's a special elevator only for senior executives. We have no such thing at Tesla. And the thing is that I actually know the people on the line because I worked on the line, and I walked the line, and I slept in the factory, and I worked beside them. So I'm no stranger to them. The actual problem is the opposite. It's not that people are trapped at Tesla building cars. The challenge is how do we retain great people to do the hard work of building cars when they have like 6 other opportunities that they can do that are easier. That's the actual difficulty, is that building cars is hard work and there are much easier jobs. And I just want to say that I'm incredibly appreciative of those who build cars. And they know it. We certainly try hard to, ensure the prosperity of everyone. We give everyone stock options. We've made many people who are just working the line, who didn't even know what stocks were, we've made them millionaires.
There's a big question about autonomous vehicles and the safety of them. But there's also a question about when it will be politically palatable in this country for people to die in cars that are controlled by computers, which is, say, we have 35,000, 40,000 deaths every year in this country.
Yeah.
If you could bring that number down to 10,000, 5,000, that might be a great thing. But do we think that the country will accept the idea that 5,000 people, that your family might have perished in a vehicle as a result not of a human making a mistake, but of a computer?
Yes. Well, first of all, humans are terrible drivers. So people text and drive, they drink and drive, they get into arguments, they do all sorts of things in cars that they should not do. So it's actually remarkable that there are not more deaths than there are. What we'll find with computer driving is, I think, probably an order of magnitude reduction in deaths. And the US has actually far fewer deaths per capita than the rest of the world. If you go worldwide, I think there's something close to 1 million deaths per year due to automotive accidents. So I think computer driving will probably drop that by 90% or more. It won't be perfect, but it'll be 10 times better.
And do you think that the public will accept that? Do you think the government will accept that?
In large numbers, it will simply be so obviously true that it really cannot be denied.
And what do you think? I know we've talked about the timeline before, and I know people have criticized you for putting out timelines that may not have come true just yet. But what do you think it really is? And by the way, do you ever say to yourself, I shouldn't have said that?
Sure, of course. I think I'm naturally optimistic about timescales, and if I was not naturally optimistic, I wouldn't be doing the things that I'm doing. I certainly wouldn't have started a rocket company or an electric car company if I didn't have some sort of pathological optimism, frankly. As you pointed out, many people said they would fail, and in fact, I agreed with them. I said, yes, it probably will fail. And they're like, okay. But I thought SpaceX and Tesla had less than a 10% chance of success when we started them. The self-driving thing I've been optimistic about it. We've certainly made a lot of progress. If anybody has been using the sort of full self-driving beta, the progress is, every year has been substantial. It's really now at the point where in most places it'll take you from one place to another with no interventions. And the data is unequivocal that supervised full self-driving is somewhere around 4 times safer, or maybe more, than just a human driving by themselves.
Really? But do you think it's another 5 or 10 years? People say...
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
And do you feel like investors have invested in something that hasn't happened yet? Is that fair to them? And that's the other question that people have about that.
Well, I think they've all, with rare exception, thought it wasn't happening. They're very clear that they don't think it's real. It would be a fair criticism of me to say that I'm late, but I always deliver in the end.